Hey guys, Larry Becker here. You know, there's a new class of cameras right in between point-and-shoot cameras and high-end DSLR cameras, and they're called mirrorless. They have automated features like a small point-and-shoot because they have a compact size, and they have a lot of controls and a bigger image sensor like a DSLR camera. Plus, they have changeable lenses. And this new class of cameras is actually gaining quite a bit of popularity. In fact, there are so many mirrorless changeable lens cameras that this video only covers some of the more advanced offerings that are available. Olympus is a big player in this market with their PEN series line of cameras. These cameras are all designed around the popular Micro Four Thirds format. They have a 12.3 megapixel live MOS sensor, which is supported by a TruePic 5 or a TruePic 6 image processor. Olympus PEN cameras all feature a compact design, and they can use Micro Four Thirds lenses. They feature LCDs for reviewing stills and video, as well as live view composition. And there's an optional high-res VF2 electronic viewfinder that snaps onto the camera's accessory port for DSLR style shooting and composing. Now, that's what they have in common, but of course there are different features with each of the camera models, so let's have a look at those. The Olympus EPL3 has a 12.3 megapixel sensor, the one I talked about earlier, and it uses the TruePic 6 image processor. On the back of the camera you're going to find a tiltable 3-inch 460,000 dot resolution live view LCD. The camera captures JPEG, RAW, or both at multiple compression ratios, and it captures those images at up to 5.5 frames a second. It has built-in image stabilization, a contrast detect 35-point autofocus system, and an ISO range from 200 to 12,800 in expanded mode. It can capture 1080i video at 60 frames per second with stereo audio. Plus, it has an input for an optional high-fidelity external mic if you have the SEMA 1 adapter. One other interesting feature is that it has a 3D photo mode. This camera supports SD, SDHC, and SDXC memory cards, and you can get it in black, red, white, or silver with your choice of a 14 to 42 millimeter kit zoom, or if you stick with just the black body, you have the option of buying it with a 17mm pancake style lens. The Olympus EP3 also has the same 12.3 megapixel sensor with the TruePic 6 image processor. This one though has a fixed 3-inch touchscreen, and it's an OLED with live view, and the resolution is also a little higher at 614,000 dots. It captures JPEG, RAW, or both with multiple compression ratios at up to 3 frames per second, and it uses a contrast detect 35-point autofocus system and a built-in image stabilization system to make sure your images are sharp. The video is high resolution at 1080i, and that captures 60 frames per second with stereo audio. And if you have the optional SEMA 1 adapter, there's a port for an extra optional external microphone. This camera has a built-in flash, it accepts interchangeable hand grips, and it saves images to SD, SDHC, or SDXC memory cards. You can pick up the Olympus EP3 in black, silver, or white with your choice of a 14 to 42 millimeter kit zoom or the 17mm pancake style lens. Moving on to Panasonic, the Lumix DMC GH2 has a 16.05 megapixel CMOS image sensor supported by Panasonic's Venus Engine FHD. On the back you'll find a 3-inch 460,000 dot resolution free angle LCD with touchscreen camera controls. And this camera has an auto intelligent mode for both stills and video capture. The Live View electronic viewfinder has a 1,533,600 dot resolution, and this camera can capture JPEG or RAW images at up to 5 frames per second with an ISO range from 160 to 12,800. It uses Mega OIS image stabilization, a contrast detect autofocus system, a 144 zone metering system, and when it comes to video, it captures 1080i HD video at 60 frames a second with Dolby Sound. It's compatible with SD, SDHC, and SDXC memory cards, and it accepts Micro Four Thirds lenses. And when you buy your Panasonic Lumix DMC GH2, you can get it in a kit with a 14 to 42 millimeter or a 14 to 140 millimeter kit zoom lens. And our final Panasonic Lumix camera is the DMC GX1. It has a 16 megapixel CMOS image sensor supported by the Venus Engine FHD with an ISO range from 160 to 12,800. It also has the 3-inch LCD screen with a 460,000 dot resolution, and that's a touch screen with touch camera controls. Ricoh has several cameras in this class, which they call their GXR system. Now, the GXR system consists of a body module and separate lens and image sensor modules. Depending on the lens choice, the sensor is either an APS-C format sensor or a 1/1.7-inch point-and-shoot style image sensor. The Ricoh GXR body module has a 3-inch 920,000 dot resolution LCD, and it takes SD or SDHC memory cards. So if you get a lens camera unit that's a kit with the GXR body unit, it has that LCD and memory card capability. The Reco GXR RS10 is a kit that comes with the GXR body and a 24 to 72 millimeter equivalent f2.5 to 4.4 vibration control lens. It has a 10 megapixel 1/1.7-inch CCD image sensor and a maximum resolution of 3,648 by 2,736. The ISO range on this kit is from 100 to 3,200, and it can capture JPEG and RAW still images as quickly as 1.6 frames a second, or motion JPEG, which is 640 by 480 at 30 frames per second with mono sound. The Ricoh GXR A12 50mm f2.5 macro camera unit 1 is a 12.3 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor with a GXR body. It has a maximum image resolution of 4,288 by 2,848, and it can shoot JPEG and RAW stills at up to 3 frames per second with an ISO of 200 to 3,200, or it can shoot 720p HD video with mono sound. The Ricoh GXR GR Lens A12 28mm f2.5 camera unit 4 has a 12.3 megapixel APS-C CMOS image sensor, a maximum image resolution of 4,288 by 2,848, and ISO from 200 to 3,200, and it can shoot JPEG and RAW stills up to 3 frames per second and up to 24 frames per second at a lower resolution. And it can shoot 720p HD video with mono sound. The Ricoh GXR P1028 300mm f3.5 to 5.6 vibration control camera unit has a 10 megapixel 1/2.3-inch CMOS sensor, a maximum image resolution of 3,648 by 2,736, and ISO range from 100 to 3,200, and it can shoot JPEG or RAW images at 5 frames per second or 720p HD video with mono sound. Samsung's camera in this range is the NX200. It features a 20.3 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor, an ISO range of 100 to 12,800, and a contrast detect 15-point autofocus system. And it can capture JPEG or RAW images at up to 7 frames a second. The LCD is a 3-inch 614,000 dot resolution screen, and the camera comes with a clip-on flash. The feature set includes a high-speed, quick motion recording eye-function lens control, and it can capture 3D imagery as well as 1080p video with stereo sound. It uses SD, SDHC, or SDXC memory cards, and it accepts Samsung NEX mount interchangeable lenses. The NX200 comes in a kit with an 18 to 55 zoom lens. Now, the last 3 cameras we'll discuss in this high-end mirrorless class are from the folks at Sony. Their cameras are all part of the NEX system, and that consists of a high-resolution APS-C format CMOS sensor, which is usually associated with DSLR cameras, but they've tucked it away neatly inside these small point-and-shoot camera bodies. The Sony NEX series cameras all use interchangeable E-mount optics, and they can also be adapted to use standard Sony A-mount optics as well as optics from a range of manufacturers via optional adapters. Sony's Exmor HD CMOS sensor technology allows for advanced capture using multiple images coupled with built-in software that combines those images in some pretty impressive ways. It can use these multiple images to generate an HDR image, or a sweep panorama, or low noise, low light images. Among the options available for the Sony NEX cameras are a clip-on high-resolution electronic viewfinder, a stereo shotgun mic, an external flash, and other NEX series accessories. Now, we have a few specific models in the Sony family here, including the NEX 5N. This camera has a 16.1 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor, a 920,000 dot resolution tiltable 3-inch LCD with touchscreen control, and it has an ISO range from 100 to 25,600 with an auto ISO function. It captures JPEG or RAW stills at up to 10 frames a second, or 1080p video at 60 frames or 24 frames a second with stereo sound. You can use SD, SDHC, and SDXC memory cards, or you can use Sony's Memory Stick Pro Duo or Pro HG Duo memory cards. And of course, it accepts the full line of Sony E-mount lenses. Another nice model is the Sony NEX 5. It's really similar to the NEX 5N, but it has a 14 megapixel image sensor, no touch screen control, and a slower maximum shooting speed of a still very respectable 7 frames per second instead of 10. And finally, the Sony NEX 7 has an amazing 24.3 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor, and it can capture images at a resolution up to 6,000 by 4,000 with an ISO range of 100 to 16,000, and it has an auto ISO function. The 3-inch 920,000 dot resolution LCD is tiltable. The NEX 7 can capture JPEG or RAW stills at up to 10 frames a second, or 1080p HD video at 60 or 24 frames a second with stereo sound, and it saves the images all to SD, SDHC, and SDXC memory cards, or of course, Sony's Memory Stick Pro Duo or Pro HG Duo memory cards. And like all Sony NEX cameras, you can use the full line of Sony E-mount optics. It's amazing when you consider that the mirrorless class of cameras has only been around for a couple of years, and it's really only gained popularity recently, because all this gear is just amazing. You should consider any one of these cameras if you like the quality and control of a DSLR camera, but you want something a little smaller. You don't have to give up DSLR quality just to have a smaller camera, and these cameras prove it. With the high end of mirrorless cameras available today, I'm Larry Becker.
For more information, please visit us online, give us a call, or stop by our New York City Superstore. You can also connect with us on the web.